Thank you, and welcome from Continental to this IAA, Driving Future Mobility from the Road to the Cloud. This is what we want to contribute to this IAA and the future of mobility. You know, we heard it yesterday. The car was born 135 years ago in Germany. We learned this from our chancellor. And you know, we have been born in 1871, so a little bit earlier, 152 years ago. And we tried to anticipate already, and we started with carriages at that point of time. We tried to anticipate the future of mobility. Vehicle was born in the meantime, and at the beginning of the 20th century, we published in the Continental Echo, how do we see the future? And this is what we've seen at that point of time. So the automobile was already there, as you can see, and it was everywhere. So you see, this was not a solution-driven mobility. It was a very much car-focused automobile. You see one pedestrian crossing the bridge with a dog, but other than that, cars everywhere. Does not look really like a smart traffic, does not look really organized, and does not look autonomous. Nobody can predict the future. We can't. So how do we anticipate now how it would look like? It is solution-driven. As we see it here on the IAA Mobility. We see cars, we see different concepts, we see a lot of different opportunities, how we can commonly share mobility, how can it be, and you see the city center is not fully crowded, of course, but there are some. They are autonomous. They are much more pedestrians. There are people enjoying the city on the one hand. On the other hand, there are still lots of people enjoying individual mobility. So what are the drivers for that? And we are doing constantly studies in order to predict the future. What do consumers and drivers really looking for? And we did it again recently. Sustainability, you heard that 60% of the drivers are willing to pay more for sustainability going forward. Question mark is obviously how much more. And that might differ product by product and functionality what you receive, but already the intention to be willing, because we all share an opinion that the world is only getting to survive and getting better once we have really a sustainable product and sustainability going further in the future. Second part, smartness. Smartness, you see in all areas. 50% want to get connected via the internet in their car. We have been a bit surprised. I mean, I would have said 100% saying this, given the fact that everybody is with its smartphone connected to the internet all the time. However, that sees smart being connected, getting as much information as well in the car, which might be useful as well for autonomous driving. So 64% are saying that automated driving is a useful advancement. And that does include assisted driving, obviously. So different levels already on the assistance side up to the autonomous driving. So given that those are the drivers of future for mobility, what are we as Continental doing with that? Being a supplier in the industry which has a unique setup from the road to the cloud. So we have, and you see here, tires, sustainable products, which we are developing even farther, which are coming from the road. The contact to the road are the 4 tires, and the good news is, even though we cannot predict the future, we still see cars in the next 10, 20, 40 years having tires, having rims, because the wheel has been a damned good invention. Secondly, we transfer this via the car up to the cloud, as I mentioned. So the smartness has to be transported from the tire, from the road, via smart cockpit, HPCs, for instance, the user interface of the driver with the car, where we are integrating artificial intelligence into the vehicle. Artificial intelligence we are using since long in product development, in testing. We are using it in production as well for testing or for optimizing our flow. Now we bring it as well as generative AI into the vehicle in order to make the user as well smarter by having the straight connection to all data you can think of the car, of the internet, of the outside world, making life more comfortable and more smart. And this smartness we need as well for autonomous mobility, which we are since long a pioneer. We started with radars, developed all other sensors, and now we are developing further to a full stack, including software, a fully autonomous driver. And you see it here on a truck. We see a great business case clearly on the truck side, and come to this later, where drivers are getting shorter, where you have long distance and in particular, if you think about the US, going from east to west, this is a long distance where you need drivers which need sleep, right? And they have to stop certain period of time. If you drive this autonomously with a virtual driver, you have lots of efficiency improvements and you make the world a bit better. Making the world better with our tires. So 2 years ago on the IAA here, we presented our concept tire, a sustainable tire starting. We presented it. In the meantime, it's in serial production. So we are showing concepts, and only 2 years afterwards, it's in serial production. You see the most sustainable serial tire, 65%. It is based on recycled, renewable, so sustainable material built. And on top, I mentioned from the road to the cloud, better be safe. We are not compromising on safety. We are not compromising on other parts. So this has the AAA in wet grip. So it's a very safe tire, top class on the European label. Same for rolling resistance. You would expect this from a sustainable tire, as well as same in noise. Coming to the other side, our concept tire, which we are showing this year, is the City Plus. And what's the important part of that? It has the same rolling resistance as the other tire, as the brother or sister tire, however you will call it. However, driving in a city on electric cars, you have a lot of acceleration, deceleration. Rolling resistance means rolling. The tire rolls. This is the intrinsic resistance a tire has. But being on a drive axle, being on an electric car, which has high torque going on and off, has by far higher exposures of forces into the tire. And this tire is as well optimized with the same rolling resistance on those forces coming in, coming out. Less energy losses in this moment means longer battery life, saving energies. And this means, in this case, up to 3% we already realized with the first concepts. Sounds small, but if you have a battery range of 500 kilometers times 3%, so 15 kilometers more range, that is a lot if you have to find this by chemistry. This is the next one, which BASF will telling us more about chemistry and automotive. But to find 3% 15K, you need a lot to do. We do it with the same performance by simply focusing on use cases. Focusing on use cases is as well our Space D. In Continental, we have material experts which are focusing on sustainability on the one side. So all what you see here is based on biomass, vegan, so all, or recycled, all sustainable material, working on our CO2 footprint in order to reduce CO2 emissions on the one hand. On the other hand, you can bring functionalities in it. You can heat up an armrest, for instance, relatively easy. You can project through the material informations to interact. You see, and you might see some wood. This is not wood. It's the foil which shows the wood overview, but it's 100% sustainable. Not that wood is not sustainable, but you see how you can replace it with other materials and even increase functionalities and at the same time respecting nature. Coming to smartness, I already mentioned this, 65%, so 2/3 of drivers which we asked, they would like to have AI voice recognition, or voice application, I should say. Voice recognition is nothing new, but applying it, getting an in and out, and getting into discussions with your car all the time and learning more, having somebody to talk to, whether you're alone or you have more, where you can ask questions. What's my tire pressure on the right-left side, and what's the real tire pressure I should use? User manuals. Who reads user manuals in a car? Typically only once you really need it, but getting straight to the point by asking. There are lots of applications outside the car. We bring it into high-performance compute with our knowledge of automotive hardware and software, and that's what we are doing commonly with the expert of AI, with Google, in our partnership, using functionalities of generative AI, bring it into high-performance compute, and offer it then to the automotive OEMs and via that to the consumers. So we see the world is getting more and more complex. We are a company with 200,000 people, so a large company. However, we see as well that software is getting more and more complex. The world is getting more complex. That's why we clearly believe in the ecosystem. So making use of the strengths of companies such as Google for AI, but there are as well other companies where we are partnering with. One part is Ambarella. Ambarella, a chip company coming from computer vision, coming from AI software, strong expertise there. Again, we are coming from our automotive 150 years, even though there was not automotive there. But we have a long experience of developing electronic hardware as well as software. We are coming from our sensor suite, combining this with a strong partner of computer vision. We are getting faster, more efficient. This chip, by the way, is very energy efficient. That's what Umbrella has developed, thinking sustainability on the one hand. I mentioned this before, but thinking as well higher levels of driving. You have a lot of data to consume and to evaluate with all the sensors which we have around the car or the car has. So you need a very performing system on the one hand, from level 2, assisted driving, up to autonomous. And at the same time, you have to be energy efficient and you have to have a good environmental model to make out of data information which you can later on use. That's what we are doing with our partner Umbrella. We develop, as said, from the assisted driving up to the autonomous driving. And this is getting its first use case as well in our next partnership cooperation with Aurora. Aurora is a company which is long on the truck side, has developed a virtual driver. So they are in autonomous trucking since longer. Again, coming from artificial intelligence, from software, having a strong background on that side. We are coming with our automotive knowledge, with sensor knowledge, embedding this into a truck, equipping this truck, and making wire having sensing around the truck possible to drive the truck virtually. We are starting this in 2027. So it is already very soon. We are bringing those forces together. The first trucks are already running. We are developing further the system. And we are absolutely convinced that, imagine how far it is from the East Coast to the West Coast, a truck which does not need to stop, a truck which can run all the time, which knows every data of the truck in a virtual operation center. You know your tire pressure. You know once you need to fuel, be it combustion engine or be it electric. You can time everything. You know all the areas. You can already say in advance, I'm coming in 2 minutes. Please prepare my 4 tires, which I need on the rear axle. And you have a very fast pit stop, and you continue to go. This is by far more efficient, 3 times faster. You manage the way to go from the east to the west, whereas using today a driver, which are anyhow rare to go. So it's a very commercial benefit. It's an efficiency benefit. And by less fuel consumption, 10% less fuel consumption, it's a contribution to a better world. So to sum it up, we see the future mobility more sustainable. We see it more and more smart every day, and the complexity, I can tell you, is exponentially growing, which is great for technology companies, because only with technology and with innovation, we make the future happen, we make autonomous mobility happen, and we make the world, at the end, a better place. So thank you very much. And our booth is A2, just right on the right side from here. Thank you.
Can I ask, do you have a booth that we should check out while you're here?
It's just right here, A2, but I'm pleased to say it again.
Okay.
So it's really, you should visit us.
A2. I will stop by, and thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We are going to take a very short break, not even a real break, like a micro break, until 11 o'clock. When we come back, Dr. Martin Brudermüller from BASF will be here talking about sustainable mobility. Join us again